Hello, my quilting friends. My name is Leah Day, and welcome to this Frame Quilting Friday video. As you can see, today I am playing around with some pebbling, and I'm also playing around with holding my machine in a different way. I'm going to bring my my right hand down, and I'm just putting a little bit of pressure with my fingertips here on the back of the machine, and I'm just going to gauge and see if that is helpful, if that helps me maintain better control over these stitches. And basically I'm just using my fingers to try and help steer the machine. So I've got my left hand, which is my dominant hand, on the handlebars, and then I'm just using my right hand here to just help guide the machine so I can travel stitch. And as you can see, this is still a struggle for me. I'm still gaining control over the machine, and it's a little on the messy side, so I'm wondering if my hand being back here, if that's going to give me just a little bit more control so I could stitch just a little bit neater. My goal coming up here, I have a quilt or two that are pretty special, and I want to be able to quilt them on the long arm without making a mess on them. And as you can see, it's a little on the messy side, definitely. So here I'm going to take my hand off of that area and just see the difference that makes. Right now I've got two hands on the handlebars, and honestly, I'm not so sure that there is much of a difference one way or the other. A lot of times I find myself putting my hand on the quilt like this, like if I'm getting a little bit of bounce. And I definitely can say I feel like I have less control over the machine when I'm trying to steer it with one arm, one hand, versus trying to steer it with two. So this is just a little experiment, just a little tangent today, just to see. I think it's really good to just play around with your machine and see what feels best. As I get some really small circles, I'm going to switch hands and just see if having my left hand, my dominant hand here, on this part of the machine works better. I don't know. They have those micro handlebars for certain machine brands. I don't think Grace Company has micro handlebars, but they're usually positioned really low. And I was just curious to see if maybe you could get the same effect by gripping the machine right there. And, in all honesty, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other. I think that was a really good experiment, though, and I can definitely see improvement as I went. I'm going to move my hand back here. I do think steering and having my left hand on the handlebar, I think that just feels most comfortable. Mostly, I think, because that's the way I've been quilting for a while now. Like whenever I do ruler foot quilting, I always have my left hand on the handlebar and the ruler in my right hand. So what I'm going to try and do is just make my right hand just a little bit more dominant. So right now most of this is being steered by my right hand, and I'm only lightly gripping the handlebar with my left. So yeah, I think it's good to just run through experiments like this and play around and see what feels best. I can definitely say this is improving, and it might be improving because I'm just getting to know the machine better and how I can grip it, or I'm getting better because I'm also building those little muscles in my arm to move the machine smoothly. So it's hard to say. That travel stitching is really the key. It's really my goal to work on that in the next couple of months. I want to be able to travel stitch nice and cleanly on my long arm, just as nice and neatly as I do on my home machine. And I know that's going to just take practice. So as you can see here, I'm filling in these 5-inch squares. And to fill them up, it doesn't actually take that much time. It may be about 10 minutes or so. So maybe if I give myself the challenge of quilting and filling up a couple of these every day, I'll start seeing some improvement. So yeah, I was really careful where I was keeping my hand back here. Obviously keep your fingers together so you don't accidentally have them spread out and stitch through one of them. Watch out for that needle area, keep your hand away from that. And because I'm left-handed, with my right hand here on this side, I was also potentially going to snag the thread. So I was very careful about that too. So I think overall, this was a really good experiment. I did like having my hand back here. I felt like I was a little bit more in control over the machine's movement. As far as the perfection of the stitches, Absolutely not there yet, not even close, because this is one of those things that just simply takes time and practice in order to build. I don't care what type of machine that you're stitching on, whether it's a home machine or a long arm, it requires practice in order to build this skill and build these muscles. I mean, it's a physical thing. I'm moving the machine and I'm trying to control it and make really tiny, very controlled, precise movements. Well, if I don't have the muscles to do that, it's not going to end up working out that way. So practice is the key more than anything else. I do want you to feel like you can play around with how you grip your machine. You could grip your handlebars in a very different way. Just see what works best for you. Run some experiments, test it out and play. The only thing that you're risking are some ugly stitches, and that's okay. It's not going to stop this quilt from being a warm, cozy baby quilt at the end. It's just going to mean that the stitches aren't going to be absolutely 100% perfect. And that's all right. Not every quilt has to be a show quilt. A lot of quilts just need to be stitched together so they can be used and enjoyed. And while you're at it, you might as well get some good practice at what you're wanting to quilt. So I'm going to keep stitching on this. I'll probably shoot another video or two on this quilt as I experiment and try and build more skills. You can find many more videos on this particular long arm and quilting frame on my Frame Quilting Fridays series. Every Friday I come out with a new video quilting a new design on this machine. So come and check out all of the videos at leahday.com/frame. Until next time, let's go quilt.